Hello, my name's Tristan from ZebraInvest. I run a property investment company and we buy houses. We both do flips to build up equity, and we've also got HMOs to bring in cash flow. More recently, we've been looking at more of bigger deals and slightly more creative stuff. But my main focus has always been on off-market properties. So today I want to run through how you can go through 7 different steps to be able to find owners of empty properties that are sitting around, not even in use. They're just being annoying, a nuisance to neighbours, and they're completely off market. And this can be a great way to be able to pick up something that's possibly below market value, but mainly my motto at ZebraInvest is we make houses homes. And so that's really just kind of bringing back the old properties that are no longer in use and putting them back into good use in the market. So I'm going to go through them step by step, and I've got each one just to be able to help you out to get you through the way. I haven't gone through and added anything into how to identify or how to spot an empty property. Hopefully you'll have a bit of a nose and be able to work that out yourself. So step 1, the first thing that I would do is pop round to the property, and what I always do is put a leaflet in the door, and I also usually send a letter. So I'll put a leaflet in the door that just says, "Hello, my name's Tristan, I'm a local property investor. I'm looking to purchase properties in your area." And then I've just got my phone number on there, and it just gives a brief outline of what I'm looking to do. And that way it just says you're clear, you're being honest about what your intentions are. I've seen some people out there who say, me and my wife are looking for a property, or, say that it's a family property, something like that. I just say up front, and so I'm just say, look, I'm a property investor, and this is what I'm looking to do. I'll usually also mention that we're going to cut out any estate agents. There's no fees to pay there, and that I will cover their legal fees. So the offer that I make is the offer that I'll get paid for. And at this moment in time, I have an empty property purchase going through, which is also in probate, so it ticks 2 boxes for me. And that's going through, and I literally found that through letters and through leaflets. So this stuff really does work. So first one, make sure you get a leaflet through the door, and then also write those addresses down. So I always take a photo. So if you go out with your camera, just take a photo of the property. Make sure you've got your location settings set up on your phone, so that way you can take a photo of the property and where it is. So then you can then come back to it when you're at home, and if you've already put leaflet through the door, then you can follow up. And that way you're just going to keep at the forefront of that potential vendor's mind. So the next step, number 2, is I then head to the planning portal. Because I've got the address, and as I just said in step 1, I've taken the address and written it down. I'll go over to the planning portal in my local area, and I'll search that property address. And this can be quite useful, because sometimes if you want to work out who owns the property, but as yet you don't want to pay the £3 to Land Registry to be able to buy the details, if you go onto the planning portal, it will usually have history of what might have happened to that property. And you can simply click on it, and then if you go into the documents file, and I'm going to do one here, I'll just demonstrate so you can see what I mean. So if I was here and I went over to planning portal, so I'm based in Southampton at the moment, but you can head over to here, and I'll give you an example of somewhere I used to live, and you pop in a postcode, and then here it's going to bring up all the results in your area. And this is quite useful. So for example, here you go, erection of a first floor rear extension. And if we wanted to find out who the owner was there, we'd click on it, and it's got the plans and documents here. It's got the address, and then when you come down and you have an application form. And usually they're stripped out from the personal data. The one thing that they will usually keep is, further down, is they'll tell you who owns that property or who's applied for it. So then that way you've instantly got the name of the person who lives there. And that's a way of literally being able to target stuff. And I realise this is quite a new application, but you can repeat the same process to then be able to go through and find those people. So I'm just going to go back to the presentation. So that's a great way of using the planning portal. And to find it, your local one, simply go to Google, type in the area that you're in and planning portal, and that should appear. So number 3 is then going over to the Land Registry. And this is a great way to be able to purchase the details and be able to find out who owns the property. This works in most cases, and it will cost you £3 to do so. Just to give you a quick example of how that would work, is in my, I've got a few little documents open here, but as you then head over to Land Registry, so I'm just going to show you how you can find it. So if you go to landregistry.data.gov, that one's for the house price data, so I'm giving you the wrong one there. So most people will hear you come on and you get all of these adverts at the top here. Ignore them. They're charging you way too much money for what you need, and you don't need it. So what you need to do is look for the .gov link. So here you can find HM Land Registry, search for property information. I'll come up with a page, click Start Now, and then I'll come to a page here where you can enter your property details that you're looking for to be able to find it. And I have there's something that you can upgrade to and you can sign up to, but I've got something called the e-business e-services. And the reason this is fantastic, and you can see here what I've just logged into, looks a little bit different to most, because if you then go in here, you've got all these extra search functions. So it's well worth registering for and signing up for your direct debit for it. They don't charge you for using this, they only charge you £3 when you download something. But it has this function called map search. And map search is good because if you want to check whether or not a property might have a title, or you're trying to look for the information first, the map search will then show up a whole area for you. And a prime example here, here you can see all of these ones in red, and they're all ones where they've got a title registered, and the ones in white here are ones where they don't have titles. And this could be because they haven't been registered for about 30-40 years. So the ownership hasn't changed hands in 30-40 years. So if you were trying to find the contact information for these ones, you're not going to find it on Land Registry, I can tell you that. But you can find the properties that you're looking for. So for example, I click on 20 Carisbrooke Drive here, and you get the freehold title number there, and you would be able to purchase that one. The main way it works, rather than that little bit that I've just shown you there, is you click Request Official Titles, and then you can type in the property address or a title number like we had there. So say for example 21-145BS, and then you put in a reference, and then here that then gives you the details. So it's a freehold property, you can order the official copies, and this is where I've got the e-business services, so it gives me a few more options. I always click the one at the bottom, and then you can go through and you can then click the title register, the register that you want to purchase. You can see how many charges are on a property, and then you click next, and then you can then purchase it. But I own this property, so I'm not about to download the freehold title for my own property. It's just not worth it. So that would be able to tell you who the owner is by using the Land Registry data. And actually, just whilst I'm on that one, I'm just going to... so when you get that, you'll have a title, and then usually on number 2, there's item number 2, something comes up called proprietor registration, and that will tell you who owns the property. So on to number 4, the electoral roll. So in examples where we can't find an owner of the property, they're completely missing, and we don't have a freehold title, as you would have just seen there on Land Registry, we can't find that information. So what are we going to do? So we'd head over to the electoral roll. And so here we can head over to something like 192.com, and this is great because what you can then do is you can then try and search down to work out who used to live at that property. So this works really well if the property was previously residential. If it's a buy-to-let property, then it's not really going to help you, but this is a great way otherwise to be able to find it. So for example, there's a property that I know that's sitting empty near me. So I will demonstrate this one so you can see it. And I live in Southampton, so it's just popped in here. But the empty property is on Spring Road. So it's actually just about here. So it's Spring Road. So I'm going to take the postcode there, which is SO19. And what I'll do, actually, I'll just jump in and I'll demonstrate this empty property so you can see what I'm up to. So this is one where I've just simply walked past it. It's nothing particularly amazing to be able to work it out, but you can see here you have a lovely house. Here's a lovely house. This one is overgrown and it's a bit of a state. So usually what you could do is you can just look at the door numbers to work out what door number it is. And this is where, for the life of me, I'm not going to be able to find it. So that's number 13. So that will be number 11. That will be number 9. And that should be number 7 Spring Road. So I've got 7 Spring Road. It's Southampton. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm just getting the postcode. So here you've got the postcode and any details on it. So usually you can take a look at Zoopla and you can have a look and see when it last sold, or if there's anything else available on it. Let's have a look. I may have got the wrong property address. I think I have, because it's definitely not a 2-bedroom flat, unless the information has just been uploaded incorrectly by What I can do, and I'll double check, is I'll just go back to e-services and I'll make sure I've got the address correct. Because where you've got that map function, you can drop it in to be able to have a look at the property. So sorry if I'm just jumping through a couple of these very quickly. But I'm pretty sure that isn't the property. So that was 13, 11, 9. So 9, that's correct. That's the one that I picked up incorrectly. So here you can see for some reason it's appearing on another title, which isn't that property. So I should have gone for number 9 Spring Road, not number 7. Again, you can take a look on the Rightmove details for it, or the Zoopla details. I quite like this, so you can have a look and see if anything's happened on there. There's nothing, no information coming up on there. You can have a quick look through Google to see if there's anything else that's relevant. There probably won't be. But the next bit you can do is if you head to 192, you can then search for that address. And you can see obviously people that are coming up here. And usually we have to pay to be able to access and see all of these. To be able to work out what the full address on it is. So you can try another way around of doing this, is doing this. And usually at that point it's going to get rid of some of the information. But I'm just going to show you another way you can get around this. So there's another website you use, so 192.com is usually a paid for account and you get credits. And when you have those credits you're able to look them up and you see what the pricing is here. There's another website here called tracegenie.com. And TraceGenie allows you to have a monthly rolling subscription on this to be able to log in, and then you can just log into your account. And then here you get unlimited searches, so I'm going to demonstrate here. You've got SO192BH. So what we need to do is we'll search by the address. So number 9 is the 192BH. And then this is now looking through all of the electoral roll records to try and find it. And then we can click on this button here. And here we go. We now have the previous owner of the property, or previous occupant. So that's just demonstrating how you can find the name of the owner. And then by doing that, you can then put that into your campaign to send out a letter to them, or you can then be able to target them down the line. So we've now gone through the electoral roll, and that's how we found details for an empty property or one without a title. Next up, wills and probate. So why would I want to know about wills and probate, and what would we want to look it up for? So if you found your property and it's sitting empty and you haven't managed to find out who the owner is, then this is a neat little piece of kit to be able to find out. So it works in 2 ways. So one, you can head over to the Gazette, so the Gazette, and they've got a page called Wills and Probate, and you see all of the notices that are available in the UK. And this is unfortunately people who have passed away recently, but it also includes them backdated when they first registered them. So you can then search all the details on here and to be able to try and find it. That's a fairly long-winded way to do it. So the way I do it is using a neat little piece of code, gazette.co.uk. And then what we're going to then do is we'll put in 9 Spring Road. And then hopefully we'll then find, here we go, well, you'll find a match. So it's got the address of the deceased, but I was looking for one in Southampton. So 9 Spring Road hasn't worked. And then what you might enter instead is the name of the person. So you could instead put, you could then search, I don't know, Mr. Williams, or Williams, Southampton. And then here you're going to then find out anyone who's coming up in the area who may be bankrupt, details, whatever else. And then you could just add probate into your search as well. And then you can see now anyone that's coming up that's fairly relevant. or you could do it so, as I said, you enter the address. But that's one way of being able to find it. The other way of being able to find it is if you use the wills and probate section from the government. And here you go, you've got a website you can see here at the top here. It's called probatesearch.gov.uk. So that's just up here, probatesearch.service.gov.uk. And here what you can then do is the same process. So you can turn around the search. My surname's Gordon. And if you knew the name of the person who's passed away, then you can use this here to be able to work out who's inherited the property. So I could then say 2018, for example. And then what you can then do is you can then find all the people who unfortunately have passed away and their probate or their will was granted in 2018. And then you can then match them up with the name and the details you've got. You can roughly get an idea by the registry where that part of the country was. You then add the probate or the will or the grant to your checkout. And then here you'll then be able to get, as you proceed to checkout, you'll be able to get a document that tells you who their executor was, who's providing everything else, and their contact details. So then you can then get in touch with them and see if you might be able to help out with that house or with their problem. So there you go. That's another fantastic little way of getting through things. Next up, Neighbours. And so this is one I probably should have touched on at number 1 at the very beginning. Because with Neighbours, it's a real simple process. When you knock on the front door of a property and they've got a house that's sitting empty next to them that looking a bit of a state, simply knock on their door and just say, hello, I've noticed the house next door is in a bit of disarray and it could do with a bit of TLC. They would have noticed it. It affects the value of their house and they would like probably to see it get turned around. And if you turn and say to them, perchance, do you know who owns the place? Do you know what's going on with it? Then they might just put you in touch and let you get going. So that's a really simple way to get going with them. I have had 1 or 2 people say, with GDPR, I'm not sure if I want to give out their details. So I say that's fine. Here's my card. If you wouldn't mind giving it to them or getting in touch with them would be fantastic. And the other bit, usually I offer people £500 if I manage to get a property purchase across the line. So if I could turn around and say to them, look, I'm looking to get a purchase complete on this. If I manage to get it purchased, can I give you £500? Then usually that motivates them to introduce you to someone else to get that across the line. And then if you take that £500 off the end of your deal analysis, then hey, you haven't lost anything. So then finally, tracing agents. What's a tracing agent? A tracing agent will literally hunt down and try and find someone in the country. So they will find them by credit checks, they can find them by, so that's whether you've got a mobile phone, where you've had a credit card, anything else. If you've moved address, they'll look through the electoral roll, they will hunt down everywhere to find out where that person is. And a lot of the time that's used for debt tracing. So, and if you're about to ask me where to find one of these, we've got something called Google, and you can search on here, tracing agent, okay, and you'll find people here. You can see, look, £25, 97%, no trace, no fee. I haven't used these companies, but you can see there are lots of companies out there offering it, and you can just simply pay them with it, and then they will find the person for you. And then that way, you can then put a letter in the post to them. At that point, it is a bit more of an expensive way of processing your lead, but it can be a really neat way to be able to find someone who hasn't been thinking of selling, or they've tried to get away from something, or they've got a problem with their, problem they need fixing. So that's, I think, all my top 7 of how to find owners of empty properties, how to get down and crack on and get those deals across the line. But my name is Tristan, as I said at the start. I run a company called ZebraInvest. So we make houses, homes. We typically focus on off-market properties and problem properties, and whether they're small or big, and work with those to put them back into use. I typically work with investors and do JVs and stuff like that. But if I can help you out with anything, then my website address is on here, ZebraInvest.co.uk. My email address is tg@zebrainvest.co.uk, and you've got my phone number on the screen there. If that's been useful, please give me a thumbs up, and hopefully you'll be in touch. Cheers.